Well, we go. Calling the meeting to order at 5:08, not bad. Notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act by posting notices in City Hall and sending notices to the Times newspaper and then Trentonian on December 18th, 2023. Folks know that we had a very abbreviated meeting last month just for attendance issues. We got the bare necessity done, but that did not include minutes and reports. So let's take these as
Hello, how are you?
good.
Hi. I'm just saying, I'm gonna, because I have to take a call. Are you gonna come and talk to me?
Okay. It's amazing what we can juggle these days, right?
It's going to be January.
Okay. All right, so I will make a motion that we accept the January 24th, 2024 meetings as circulated. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thanks, Sam. Any questions, concerns, issues regarding
This is the minutes, right?
from January 24th?
Okay, right, okay,
January.
Yeah, the minutes, not the meeting.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just said the meeting. Approve the meeting.
All right, all in favor of accepting the minutes as circulated, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. All in favor.
And good evening. This is Lindy. I'm having problems with connectivity, so I can't get on video.
Okay. We would prefer to see your face, but we can't see Sam's either, so he's holding out at him. All good. I saw your Facebook, your picture on Facebook recently, so I know you're still smiling. Okay, next, we want to vote. All right, so, well, Michael, we didn't say hello, hardly, hi. Michael, we had that very abbreviated meeting where we did one actual official action. And the rest was discussion.
We have to vote on this?
Yeah, I mean, there was some minutes, right? There was.
Yeah, we should have minutes, especially since we did have a quorum for a brief period, and we
Okay.
should memorialize.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna move that we accept the abbreviated meeting notes and minutes as circulated. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Scott. So most of this, the only action we did was the final payment, is that what it was?
Yeah, that was the payment to transfer the money.
Okay.
Commissioner Conklin says second one.
Oh,
We've been in the meeting for like 2 minutes.
yeah, so, yeah, I think these are clear what happened. We did, we had a quorum, and we voted on that, so with that. If there's any discussion, and if not, all in favor of accepting the minutes as circulated. Say aye. That would be aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Okay. Review of January financial reports. I'm sorry, I pulled up the checklist. I make a motion that we accept the January financial reports as circulated. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thanks, Sam. Anybody have any questions, observations? Thoughts
No.
regarding?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
This is January we're talking, right?
We're
Yeah.
talking January, yes. Nothing that you guys know that out of the ordinary, right?
No,
Patrice?
just, no.
Nope. Nope, the next one's gonna be March. March's gonna have a large uptick.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay, all in favor of accepting the January financial reports as circulated? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Uh, February financial reports, I will make that motion. Do I have a second?
On which report are you talking?
This is the financial reports, the garage reports for February.
I'll second the garage financials. I'll second.
Okay. Any questions, observations, thoughts on this, discussions on this?
So it looks like we're down. It looks like we're down in, what was it, Lafayette and Lafayette and Warren is what brought us down a little bit. Is that what I'm thinking? Is that Lafayette? Well, what is this? Lafayette? This is for February though, right? This is not March.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah.
never
No,
mind.
March is gonna be,
Yeah.
270 more, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the
All
only
right.
thing is that, March 1st, we had the problems with the garage.
Right.
So you're gonna see like, I don't know, at least a week, maybe a week and a half, whatever it is before we got the generator up. That's not gonna have any revenue
Right.
for us yet,
Right. Right.
except for the monthlies, which is most
Mhm.
of it anyway, but.
Okay.
All right.
February's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. You know, I'm just a little curious though, the Trenton Health Team substituted cards for tokens.
Yep.
How does that compare money wise? That
They were paying like ridiculous, they were paying for like 60 cards.
Yeah, they don't have that many.
They don't have that many people, but then they finally caught on to things, and then they started cutting back and then cutting back. Now they only have 6 cards. And they bought 500 tokens. But what's so funny is that they really are so unorganized over there. They bought 500 tokens in the end of December. They turned around and emailed me and said that they need another 500. Meanwhile, Phil just took their tokens out of the machine. They only used 104. So where's your other 400 tokens that you, so
They pay us upfront for the token, so whatever they do with the.
if they wanna, yep, so I told them, I just wanna make you aware, but if you wanna buy more, yeah.
All right, we'll begin to see the effects of that, I guess. Should we be adding a token sale section to this financial report since that's getting to be more of a thing? Think about it. Okay. 5,500 is not nothing. Okay. Okay, we've got checklist, January 2024. I'll make a motion that we accept the checklist. Any second?
I'll second it.
Any questions, concerns, surprises?
No, the quarterly installment for travel insurance, 50,000. What is, so tell me, because I've seen this before. What is Green State Lawn and Garden again? What for 30? What are they doing again for
That's our,
30,000?
that's the snow removal.
And we did have some.
We didn't have a lot, but we had some.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Took in pretty high.
What was it, this year?
This one was for 30,000.
That's what we spent for the whole.
No,
Yeah, well,
no, because we already had another bill. Another batch of bills.
So that was all from last year and this year?
There's 30,000 on this, and then there's something from that. I don't know if it's, maybe, not like that, maybe.
All right, all in favor of the checklist as circulated?
Aye.
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 February checklist, I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll
I'll second.
No.
Any questions? Is this, we could guess, like 2 months worth, instead of the previous one? One is 28, one is 45.
Well, because what I did was the 1 month I paid 2 of the contracts,
Okay,
and then the next month I paid another 2.
Okay.
So instead of putting them all together.
all right, all in favor?
Well, questions on the
Yep.
checks first.
So-
Tell me again, maybe I forgot, but the emergency lighting at Lafayette, what is that?
That was the last of the final inspection from the fire marshal. That was the one found on the re-inspection that had to get done.
But this is lighting?
There's an emergency lights, not the ceiling lights. The emergency flood lights.
Okay.
That's handy when the power went out.
And again, we have in February another snow removal, a little less, but there was
18.
snow in February too? That they had to do?
Actually, they're
Oh,
probably like from the month before even.
Yeah, I think they built us 30 days up.
Yeah.
so were there two episodes where they had to?
Yeah, in
Yes.
fact, I can send these over to you.
See, our biggest expense on the snow removal, once we cut off the roofs is Merchant Street lot. Because they have to clear out that whole lot. So that's
Oh,
what.
right, that's, yeah, surface, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
all right.
Uh,
All right, now, we haven't gotten nonprofit. Okay, we good? Sorry, I missed it, okay. So, yeah, so we got reports both from Phoenix and nonprofit. Phoenix gives us a nice recap, always on his front page. And we are ready to pay.
Yes,
As we
well
discussed
said.
at the last
Mhm.
meeting, we did move the money so that when they go and sweep our bond payment, it's all there. So everything went as planned. If anybody's got any questions or thoughts on that. But we don't vote on those. Okay. All right, jumping to the chairperson's report.
Okay, so we need the approval of the June audit.
Okay, we do have one vote item here. Last month, you all got circulated the financial audit. Matt Daly and Warren Brody had presented. Everything was good except for the one thing that they always gave us on, which is the purchase order process that we don't use. But we're gonna look into. See if QuickBooks has some kind of a module that allows us to do that exercise. So we can get rid of that audit note. But with that, we need to vote to accept, so I will make a motion that we accept the financial audit for the period ending June 30th, 2023, as prepared by Mercadian.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? Sure, it was stimulating reading, guys. All in favor of accepting the audit? Say aye.
Aye.
I,
All right, Lafayette Yard Garage update. Well, we'll let Lou lead on this.
Lou or?
Yeah,
So you wanna go first or want me to go?
well, you can kick it off, Bill, if you'd like, yeah, since you're
Not that long.
feet on
Alright,
the
so,
site, right?
as everybody's probably aware, March 1st, 8:30 in the morning at the Lafayette Garage, we noticed that the power had went out. A couple of hours later, after we was able to gain access into the old hotel, we found out that they had stripped all of the wiring all the way down to the ground wiring inside of the hotel where our electric is. Which caused us to lose power for approximately 10 days.
Well, I'm going.
And ongoing. Right now, I mean,
Oh,
we
yeah,
have a
bro.
generator.
And then we went to a generator back there.
Mhm.
So Lou got involved.
Yeah, so when I was contacted, Phil had been on site. So what happened is some vandals got into the hotel. And the garage electrical power is fed through the same electrical room in the hotel that the hotel's power is fed through. So when public service realized that the power had been vandalized, they came out and shut the power down. And then subsequent that weekend is when they got back in there and they taken out the feed line, which was an 800 amp electric service and a 400 amp disconnect. So those are the pieces that the parking authority need to replace. We need public service to provide a new service directly to the garage. We're working with Joe Peoples from Allied Federal Electrical Company, who's been representing TPA with public service, trying to get a job number assigned so they can engineer and pull the new service in. It's taken better part of 4 weeks to get to this point. The generator is in place and it's providing temporary power fed through the balance of the electrical system that's in the garage is intact. So that's the good news. And this new disconnect that needs to be installed will be installed in the garage on the second floor to avoid any issue with flooding. And the service will be provided to that location. So that's the funds that will be expended ultimately by the TPA. The insurance company was notified. They were out within the first couple days of the occurrence. And per my conversation with Patrice, as of today, they haven't committed that it's a covered claim. There's some issue because the hotel being vacant, there's exclusions in insurance policies relative to vacant property, although it's not your property that's vacant. So we're hoping that they're going to give us an affirmative answer and be able to provide the information for the claim to be reimbursed. The temporary generator is a monthly rental. And Phil, how often are we getting fuel? Every 2-3 days?
Okay, so now we take it to every other day.
Every other day?
First week they came every morning. But now that we've pretty much watched it, we don't need fuel every day because they charge a 45-gallon surcharge every time they bring it out.
About $250 just for delivery every day.
So we monitor it now, so we know we get it Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
Got it. Okay, so, but that's going to be an ongoing cost, unfortunately, till public service is able to pull this new service in. And
Yes.
our electrician will connect it to this new disconnect that he's purchasing. So that's the current status. The generator's working. And are we shutting it down at night or are you running 24/7? 24/7.
Because they're also concerned about if it gets shut off, it's more they were concerned because if it's off, then people would think they could go shut it. I mean, they could go, strip it.
It's more at risk, yes, yeah. So, so that's the current status. I understand. Was it Friday? There's a meeting scheduled. There was a session on the date that is
The
confirmed
last
for
minute,
this
yep.
Friday for public service to make a site visit with the electrician with the hope we can push this, job number assignment and the scheduling of the installation
I
as
do
soon as
believe
possible.
there, as of yesterday, or as of that email that came from a conversation from Monday, there is a job number that was in.
Oh,
there.
they did.
There
There's
is a
some
job,
number.
but
Okay, I
they
missed
still were
that.
gonna put it off another 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, it seemed like. And, but I was in that email circulation today, and when I clicked on the attachment, it didn't give Friday, it gave Tuesday. It populated my calendar on Tuesday, so I said that to Joe, you better check, because there's like 5 people from PSEG on that.
I saw.
Double check on that.
Then I would say Friday is Good Friday, so that's a holiday.
Well, that's true, right? I didn't even think of that. You're right. Public service may have it as a holiday. It's possible.
Well,
We have to confirm.
yeah, whoever sent that email out though, definitely set it up for Tuesday. But it's better than the 11th, so.
Right, and that'll be the next step as.
And now, so, just so I understand. This is simply for them to come out and review and respond to our plan. And
That's
then,
my.
and
that's
we
my
need this to
understanding.
start. Do we need something from the city, or are they the final approval on?
Usually the city issues through the electrician, which I believe they've done. They gave us the permit for the temporary service. And then they work with public service, the city's building department, and PS usually provides what's known as a cutting card, which is their approval to retie in the service that anything downline is, meeting the code and ready to be energized. So that's should be the next step from public services. They come out, review it, engineer it, and provide the cutting card that the electrician goes to the city and allows the tie-in to occur.
Is that usually expedited by the city because they don't question PSE&G, or are we gonna have another delay?
It should be part of PSE&G's process. As soon as they engineer it and confirm they have the capacity and that the current electrical service is sufficient, to be connected, they can then put the cut-in card. That's the physical notice for their installation crew to come out and bring the wiring off the pole.
Well, there's a lot of kind of bad news. This has been a huge distraction, but in the good news department, Joe and James Peoples' brothers, our local minority contractor, that probably wouldn't have responded if we did our typical bidding, I'm guessing. And yet you've been very pleased with their service, right?
Yes.
Been very, very, very nice.
Yeah, he's been very helpful in this whole process. He's really been key.
Good communicator.
Very.
Yes.
Yeah. We'll sing his praises. And the other positive thing is he decided that we could use whatever the generator is using to really give us an indication of what kind of power is being used in that garage.
We're paying a lot of money.
And it appears that we're very overpowered. And I don't know if that's just because it was attached to the hotel or because we used to have old fashioned lighting and now we have LED lighting, so we're using less. But, we may be able to kind of, we might be able to downscale the service and maybe save ourselves some money. Is that your hope too, Lou? Is that a reasonable expectation?
Yes, the background is public service, depending on your demand, the consumption load that you need from them. They price the service accordingly. So if you need a large service, you'll pay for that available service, even if you don't use it as part of, and I think that's what Joe's alluding to. If he can show that we're using much less of consumption now because of LED lighting and the efficiencies in the new equipment, that will save money on the service. It could be a smaller service. Currently, you have an 800 amp service and a 400 amp disconnect. So that 800 amp service could be downsized potentially. They may choose to put 800 amp back in, but you're not using that capacity anywhere near that. And I think that's what Joe was bringing out to us.
Well, we've got to find our savings wherever we can. So we stumbled on that one, but we'll take it. We'll take it. All right, yeah, so we just hope,
So,
All
so
right.
do we have a cost estimate on that repair though? We knew we were near
good
knowing
question.
what that might be?
Well, originally, when I spoke to the travelers insurance, when they came out, he was saying that it could be all the way upwards of like 250,000. That was him doing apples to apples. They don't care if after they do their whole claim and settle the claim, if we decide to run it different.
Yeah, they can only
Okay.
base it off of what we had and what to replace what we had. They can't do a claim on what we want to do. So they have to base it off of what was damaged and what we originally had. And that's why I think that the problems come in with the claim.
There is, and to that point, insurance companies under the insurance contract, under your coverage, cannot pay to make improvements or changes to your property unless it's required by code. So to the point, the costly installation would be to replace what was there. And you don't need to do that. As a matter of fact, it's not in your best interest to replace what was there. What
I don't,
is
so I
more
don't think it's
cost
gonna be
effective?
as much.
Let him finish, let him finish.
So, but what is cost effective is as the electrician and public service is working on is to refeed the garage directly with a service that will be exposed and serve the second floor electrical equipment in the garage and bypass coming through the electric room in the hotel. And that will eliminate your need for the access agreement into the electric room through the hotel. And will also eliminate the risk of any flooding, which could impact your electrical. Your equipment should be all on the second floor and it'll just be the incoming service that could be exposed to water. So you'll be much better served under the new scheme.
Those services aren't underground there, right?
They currently come underground up inside the electric room in the hotel then they go back underground and then exit up inside the garage up to the second floor, right by that, what you guys call the valet garage door that faces the front of the hotel. That's where your electric service currently comes out of the ground and goes up to the second floor. And that's where they're proposing the new feed would be in that same pipe or adjacent to that pipe, that conduit. And the disconnect would be on the second floor, mounted basically by the cage where your electrical equipment is, adjacent to the elevators up on the second floor lobby.
What do you
So
think?
question,
Yeah. Go.
so question. So what is the likelihood? No, we're just throwing out numbers. We don't know. So let's say if it was 250, what is the likelihood that the redesign, including engineering specs and all the other stuff you have to throw into that, could come in less than that if we move it into our side of the
It's gonna be
building?
a lot less.
Very good.
It's gonna be
very
a
good.
lot less.
That's the whole, that's the big point.
Right.
It's very
I
good.
don't, again, I'm not an expert, but I would venture a guess and. Well, first off, we know the cost of the temporary generator was it 8,000 a month? The rental, it was more than 12 to deliver it, and now we're 8,000 a month plus the
Actually,
fuel.
Plus the fuel.
And then we did get a bill for the temporary electric installation, and how much, Patrice? requested?
9,000. It
Was
was
that 10?
11,
Almost 10?
Then cut it back to 9 because he didn't have to, there was something that he didn't have to do.
So there's roughly another 10. So we're in at least, say, 25 with the generator for a month. And I'm expecting that the electrical cost with public service providing the service, but you have to pay the electrician for the disconnect and the connections, could run another 40,000, I'm guessing. So order of magnitude, I would think you're going to be under 75. Depending on how quickly public service acts. If, of course, if the rental continues on the generator, that would
Might be 2 or 3
might bring us
months.
over that 75 threshold. But right now, I would be reasonably comfortable to say an upside number would be about 75 to 80,000. I don't think we're going to hit 100 unless this goes on for months. So, but again, we'll know better. We've asked Joe for a price, Joe Peoples from Federal Allied. But we haven't gotten anything. He was pricing out the disconnect, and he needs to confirm where public service is going to provide the service and then where he has to run the wire from, if at all. They may bring it right to the disconnect. So that's what he's trying to determine, to develop his labor cost and the other material costs beyond the disconnect.
Are we gonna have to create a new trench and dig?
No, my understanding from Joe is that PS is talking about if they do go underground, should be on them, but it sounds like they're gonna go overhead, come down and then come through the building and into that conduit on the ground floor. Not sure exactly of the route. That's part of why they have to meet.
So if we throw in a number of, so you say 80,000, we say 10-20% over just in case, we're at like 100,000. If their estimate is, even if their estimate is off and they're at 150, not really 250, is 150, do you feel comfortable that we'd be covered and have a little excess? I'm not really worried about the excess. I just don't want to come up short. Do you feel
Well,
comfortable with that?
I would say it this way, and I'm gonna answer your question, but the threshold issue here is whether you have coverage. If you have coverage and they agree, I think you'll be more than covered on the dollars. Matter of fact, you may end up with more funds than you need to expend, but they'll probably be eaten up by the temporary generator because they may or may not pay for that piece of it. They may argue that, they're not responsible. I think they are, because otherwise, how do you have power in the building, during this interim period? So, but the threshold is, my concern is because the hotel is vacant and that's the location of the electric room and that's where the incident occurred. I'm concerned that they're gonna, I can be very cynical. Over my 45 years in the industry, my take on insurance companies is they spend more time and effort not to pay claims than just simply paying, and so I'm jaded. So my
Hopefully you will
apologies.
just get half, or 3/4.
That's my concern. So, but I think you'll be covered on the dollars. The question is, do we have coverage and do they agree?
Okay.
Maybe Mike has more experience than myself or, in that arena, but that's my concern here.
Yeah, Michael very quickly started searching out easements and the like, which are pretty much in order, right, Michael? And you're gonna communicate with the insurance folks?
Yes, I mean, I think we're waiting for that second inspection from the adjuster, and they haven't declined coverage yet. So, you know, we'll make sure that they have all the facts before they make a determination. You know, investigating why the power from the garage runs through the hotel. You know, it was like when the project was designed with the hotel and garage together, there was some sort of a financing loophole. And I'm not totally clear on the circumstances. You know, this goes back, you know, about 25 years. But apparently, you know, if the utilities between the hotel and the garage were linked, that there would be, you know, beneficial financing. Maybe, you know, the hotel could also get built and financed with tax exempt bonds. I think that's the situation. And to qualify, the infrastructure had to be linked, and so this power design was built this way.
Wow, that's interesting. We hadn't heard that. I
So
just
last,
thought, you know,
sorry, so last question is the other side of the coin. What happens if the insurance company doesn't cover us? What do we do?
we'll have to clean out every last dime in our reserves, for sure. But also, I think we could appeal to the city on the surcharge fund that we haven't turned over.
Yeah, that, and you know, I wanted to see the easement to understand what legal relationship the parking authority and, you know, the owner of the hotel have. You know, what is that privity between the parties, so that we can evaluate if there is a decline in coverage. You know, do we have a cause of action to be made whole against the hotel owner for, you know, negligence and, you know, not maintaining security, whatever that ends up being. You know, but also with the understanding that we may not be able to get you know, a property owner defendant who owns this hotel that seems to be abandoning that asset to get them you know, under the jurisdiction of the court. And even if we can, you know, they seem to be fairly judgment proof. But, you know, we can evaluate all those options once we know what the insurance company is deciding.
Well, don't they have insurance as well, don't they? Even though I know they're not operating the building, but they still have to have some kind of insurance coverage, don't they?
Well, you know, we don't exactly know. I assume I assume they would, right? I mean, it would make perfect sense.
Yeah, but that would become expensive insurance for a vacant building.
Yeah.
Right, but my thing is, if ours wouldn't pay it, would theirs pay it if they did have could we, like, because they have to restore power to their building as well, so why would it not be covered?
No, broad front.
Oh,
We have coverage on broad front.
It would be a very fact specific analysis.
And, you know, this is not unlike the Broad in Front incident, and Patrice, that was a covered claim back in, when was that, 2014
Well,
or 2015?
It was, but I think it was. But the thing is, at least that was our building, our property.
Well, right, it was your own electric room in
This is
your own.
not in our property is what,
Right,
you know,
right.
what the main part of it is.
but I also think that insurance companies do inspections. And we probably had the same insurance company for years and years and years. If they never knew this, well, that's on them. I mean, nobody hit it, you know, wouldn't their
Right.
inspector have
It's
looked at the electrical one? You know, I just think that, well, Michael, you'll figure out a way to push back. But, you know, they have a responsibility to, nobody was hiding anything from them. And if they never did an inspection and just collected, you know, just cashed our checks for 20 some years.
Yeah, I mean, they have an obligation to uphold their side of the contract. That's the policy of the contract. But, you know, insurance companies are incentivized and they make money by declining coverage, not not paying for coverage. So,
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. Not every company is NJM, who, is great coverage. They pay, but we'll see. We'll report back on that.
Okay. All right, in the interest of time, if people don't have any further questions. The next item here is the CCRC grant update and correspondence. In your package was a letter that we received a couple weeks ago from the chairperson of the CCRC board, Joanne Povia, who is also the chief of staff to the state treasurer. Who we know, and this was just so discouraging to get this, because what's happened here literally is that we didn't do exactly what we said we needed to do a year ago. And that happened because everything changed when we got a citation from the city via Department of Community Affairs to tear the building down instantly. We had to shift gears. That was something that was, caused by the state. And just by way of background, I've talked to some of you guys, so maybe I'm repeating, but when the mayor was asked what did he need some money for, this was about 3 years ago, he told the governor, we need money to tear down the Broad and Front garage. We didn't get all the money you needed, but they did put $1.5 million into the budget. It took them 2 years to figure out how to get us the money. When they finally did, what they decided was to channel it through the CCRC, which is a state entity that is administered out of the NJEDA. But it got out of the state budget and it wouldn't risk being turned back into the general fund. Now it's ours theoretically, but the CCRC, which doesn't really have any full-time staff, they do have a board that's made up by a lot of state employees and a couple of people from the public. Set up a committee to manage this process of getting us the money. Willard Standback, who we know, he's an attorney downtown, he's the former chair of the Trenton Downtown Association, is chairing that committee. Jeff Laurenti, who we know was a political activist, is on the committee. They're puzzled by this letter as well. But I guess it's, if you're doing grant administration and you have to do everything absolutely to the letter, then this is what happens. Even though we weren't using the money for anything other than moving towards demolition of the garage. And that's everyone's intention. It's incredibly frustrating, but that said, I spoke to Willard. He was very frustrated too, because he knew that there was a letter being drafted. He chairs the subcommittee and he wasn't. He specifically asked to see it before it was sent, and they didn't send it to him. They sent it to us. So I think there's some weird stuff going on over there. And because of that, I think we just have to respond the way they asked. Give them the accounting for what we've done, what we expect to do, etc. And if they insist this isn't, we'll have to send money back. But you'll notice in the last paragraph, they're inviting us to reapply. And the truth of the matter is, I don't think that they can use the money for anything else. They're stewards of this money, but it's not their money to do whatever they choose. It is for this purpose. So I think that they're just going to make us jump through hoops and do another grant application. We will do that according to the information that now is available to us, and hope nothing happens as happened in this previous grant year. Nothing unexpected that changes our course. And so that's where it stands. I haven't gotten to that yet. I almost had to let it sink into my brain what they were asking for. But it is what it is. And I told Willard, we're just going to do what they want. And if that means we'll send them a check, we'll do it on the faith that we're probably going to get it back. Once, I don't know. We'll have to fight with them perhaps, but I do think there's something weird going around among at least one of those board members. But that said, If the lawyers are asking us to do it, exactly as the exhibit in the grant application called for, then that's what we'll do. And if they disapprove it, but say apply again, then that's what we'll do. I don't, if anybody has any other ideas or has experienced something like this,
What's the then what's the plan on us doing that, reapplying, or what's the next steps, and when are we going to do them?
I'll draft. I'm gonna draft something. I'm gonna draft the response. Patrice has run the numbers and she gave me her running tally of the spreadsheets and the cost. Lou has been very helpful in terms of documenting everything. So we have it all. This is, we know what we've done and we tracked everything. We've done everything by the book. We've done bids. We, used our retained consultants. And we'll give them the documentation, the explanation, which we have done, frankly, at length. They've gotten copies of the Tim Haas reports as a part of previous grant reports. But we'll kind of put a different cover letter on it, I suppose, is what it comes down to.
So time wise, when can we have that done?
Well, I'll do a draft and circulate it within a week, I think. I mean, it really doesn't, it shouldn't, by my reading, it shouldn't be really lengthy beyond, because we've already done all of this. All of what we have done and what we've spent was reported to them in a report that they were sent in November. We've done a few more things since then.
The big one.
Yeah.
The stabilization.
Yeah, so the stabilization, so Patrice's, put that on a spreadsheet. We'll present it as an updated spreadsheet and send it to them again.
Is there any chance the money could go back and be reverted back to Treasury before we got to that?
Well, I called the mayor because this is very upsetting to me. I mean, I said to the mayor, this exists because you asked for it, not because CCRC asked for it or EDA. You asked for it. The governor put it in his budget. When we thought we might have lost it because they hadn't moved it 2 years ago, we called Verlena Reynolds Jackson's office and they kept an eye on it through the whole budget process to make sure it stayed earmarked for us. And then we got through almost a whole nother year before they finally moved it. So, we don't have a whole lot of control over this, but we do have friends that should be advocating for us. And we'll call Verlena and them again. I said to the mayor, maybe we'll call, Verlena or Shirley Turner's office and get them on it. But, that's what you use those folks for. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think the Greater Trenton wanted to do the Broaden Front Garage project. They did a bad proposal. They have no capacity, they have no money, they have less capacity than they did because they just left the key employee. They haven't done any projects, and they just need money. And we can't make that our problem. This is going to be a very difficult project to finance. And every dollar will count, and we can't just, say, well, they're our friends. And we're going to give them a payday. So consequently, a former board member of theirs, who's still a board president of theirs, is on the CCRC board. And, he's been vocal supposedly in a meeting, I've been told, saying, well, they just are taking too long. To which my reply was, I was at a groundbreaking with the governor 2 years ago for the Van Skyver project. And they haven't cut the weeds over there yet. These projects cannot move quickly, but we did go after the asset activation grant. We did, we're moving along with that. And, we're doing what we're gonna do, but none of this stuff moves fast. I just think that he's poking around. And so I've been pushing, both Jeff Laurenti and Willard to say, you gotta push back. You gotta be our friends on that board. So. I don't know. Well, I don't know what we can do except just exactly what they asked us to do and start all over again. Okay. Broaden Front Garage update. Lou, you got anything relative to the stabilization? I can see your post, by the way, from the street.
I'm sorry, but you can see them, yes. So
I can see it, yeah.
all of the temporary stabilization work is complete. The only thing we're awaiting now is THA Consulting was to provide us with a final report. They're going to go out, inspect, and generate a report to confirm the work was completed per their design documents and that there's stability, in the structure. In addition to that, they are continuing TPA engaged THA for that fail-safe zone assessment. If you recall, that was required by the building department. And we're continuing on a monthly basis to provide an updated report as to the status of that fail-safe zone. So I believe the original report was 7,800, and I think we're paying 2,600 on a monthly basis until such time the town is satisfied or the building is demolished in order to move this ahead.
Did it have something to do with the stabilization? I thought once the stabilization was done, they didn't need to have that again.
I'm not sure. I guess Mike would be our interpreter of the language in that.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to look at that.
But yeah, so I was under the impression that it was somewhat open-ended, that they continued to want a monthly report. But Patrice, you could be right. I'm not quite sure how that was written.
Yeah, I would agree with Patrice that once it's stabilized, we've complied with the order.
Great.
And if they want something else, we're going to say no.
Okay, so maybe this month then I'll let THA that they should put language in that this is a final report. Do you think that's appropriate, Mike? Or should we just have one final report to submit with the cover letter?
Yeah, a final report that says, the garage is now stabilized.
Got it. Okay. Great. So that's the status. And so of course that stabilization will then stay in place until such time as we're able to move forward with we still need to do the asbestos testing, et cetera, all the pre-demolition tasks that we had previously put forth under that grant application.
Okay, thanks for that. The Broaden Farm Asset Activation Grant, we're very close on a final RFEI. Folks will recall that we were gonna keep the RFEI as concise as possible and then put a lot more information on our website. And we're working with a guy, Leon Rainbow, who we all know is a local artist, works for a firm called In Forest Communications. They're a website team. Dana Hutchins is actually his boss, and they're using the format that I had a website up that was promoting the city some time ago. They're gonna strip company names off. It's gonna be a TPA kind of a site, and the idea is to make it kind of sell Trenton and make it attractive and let developers know that there's things happening here, what's happening, et cetera. So I'm actually meeting with him tomorrow morning because, we're pulling that together. There's a lot of, reports between the Trenton 250 report and the land development ordinance that, developers would want to look at. There is the updated version of the residential market study that was done jointly first by us in Greater Trenton, but they reissued it, updated in their own name. Information on the availability of transit, the labor force market. I'm even thinking that whole initiative the governor announced with Princeton University to make this into an AI center is something that ought to be put up there because, there's AI companies that want to be near Princeton in this big initiative. Maybe that's attractive. So that's due to go out as soon as we've got that website in decent shape. Maybe not completely finished, but presentable to the lot.
Question on that though, real quick,
Yeah.
if I may.
Mhm.
But in the RFEI, did we want to mention the 1.5 million? Now, can we not say that anymore? Now, what happens now with that?
One of the things we're gonna put on the website is kind of a status of the garage. Both speaking to kind of when it was built, when it was taken offline, whatever. And then that those funds were made available, some are being directed towards pre-demolition tasks, and the remainder will be available for, what do they call it, the capital stack? But I think that has the effect of kind of making Treasury much more clear that we're expecting that money. I think to not say that implies that we're timid about it, and it's our money, is my attitude. Okay, the Caldwell University Data Project, Caldwell University got in touch with us and said that this semester students would like to continue that project. And so Scott, you've had some communications with that, on that project, right?
Right. Yeah, I think the most recent follow I've given them was January, so they should be up to date as of January. February should be available now, and March later. So what I'll do is I'll pull up February and just email it to them. They're small at this point. They're small. We don't need the lockbox, that other spot, Dropbox spot anymore. These are just small files, and there's no PII in it, nothing like that we can worry about when we transmit it over. So we can just send them on over. So I'll download that file next, and I'll send it the February file over to them.
Hey, they gave us that first semester report on that Microsoft program, which doesn't work on a Mac, but we do have one PC, and I finally got somebody to set it up for me, and then I never printed the stuff out. Did you ever do that, the reports that they sent us?
No, I never got to print them out either.
All right, I'll give it another shot. I just didn't do it, but they were kind of halfway there. They weren't real finished, insightful reports, but we should circulate them anyway. They were super appreciative of it, but what was interesting is we got connected with them through a consulting company called CGI. And CGI way back, and he's involved in the project, and the guy that was working with us isn't working there anymore. So they just kind of said, doesn't matter, we don't need CGI. They reach us directly, and we've been on Zoom calls with them. So Comcast Smart Solutions. These guys have, under the Comcast umbrella, have the Smart Solutions division that purports to sell lots of smart solutions, including for parking. And so we've had a couple of Zoom sessions with them. Scott, were you on the first one on that?
I think I missed one, but I was either on the second one or something like that. But yeah,
Well,
I was on one of
We
them.
did one today, and I won't drag this out, but what we talked about is doing what they call a pilot agreement. And or a pilot project. And the pilot project that we've zeroed in on is to use some of their technology in the Warren Street garage. And the reason why we landed on that one is because that's the one that's got the old stuff that we can't do dailies. We can't do hourlies, we're limited. And that's where we're using the tokens because there's students there. And for those reasons, we thought this overlay that they would then use there would give us some advantages besides just testing their technology. It would, really kind of potentially upgrade our operation there. They've been pretty aggressive about kind of communicating and staying in touch, but after the whole craziness happened at the Lafayette Yard, we just said, stop, we can't deal with this. We really put them on hold for a month. And so we got back on the phone with them today, and they're raring to go. They've got a technology guy who's super impressive. I mean, the guy that we're in touch with that kind of has the overview, but then there's a technology guy that says we've done 4,000 decks across the country, which is pretty impressive. If that's a lot of decks, but at any rate, so it's kind of an overlay of technology that would make our, what do you call it, arms? The equipment. It'll operate the equipment, but it'll generate data through their cloud system or whatever. What was really interesting to me that came up today, because we keep saying we want data, we don't have data. And Patrice says that the state really is asking for, there's another department with another request for 100 spots. And we're overbooking kind of badly. We're going to stop doing that. But we don't really know what our usage is. Well, where they went with that was to say, it's not really expensive for us to put up these cameras that have license plate readers, LPRs, and that could just begin generating data on all of the decks kind of right away. And they're saying it at not big cost, and that would really be a great source of data on usage. They call them heat maps, like they can really show you in graph style what days are busy, what hours are busy, and that's stuff that would be really helpful for us. So they're going to get us, we told them we're on this, monthly meeting schedule, we could put something kind of formally before the board a month from today. So they said they would get us proposals sooner rather than later, so we can kind of bounce them around and get clarification and get questions answered between now and a potential vote at next month's meeting to move forward with this. But I think it could be really pretty neat. And, you know, there is likely to be some costs. What most places do is they raise the rates and have service fees and stuff added. We don't raise our fees just kind of whenever, but I think given this excess income we may have coming in, we may be able to kind of just absorb these service fee type costs.
I think it's to see how it's working before
Yeah.
next year's, fiscal year, and then we have to do all the state stuff.
Yeah,
So if we decide we want to up anything next year,
yeah, if we
the
decide
beginning
to,
of the year would be the time to do.
yeah, to move
to
forward
discuss
with
it.
contracts, purchases or whatever. So this is kind of the thought is it's a pilot agreement and they're gonna give us a proposal as to how that would work financially. And we're talking about the Warren Street Act is the place to do it. Because the system there is so limited.
Yeah, if I'm gonna step in a little bit, regarding Comcast, I know that the discussion is real early, but would it provide software and hardware in terms of to help us collect, our deal, our payment or what?
Well, it's mostly using our existing hardware and then what?
What is it, like a program mechanism?
Yeah, so it's using our same, the AP, the ADP stuff that we already have there. It's just them adding a communication piece that still allows the to go from the information that they receive.
Okay.
And that was only I think it was $1,000, I think it was, or 500.
Yeah, it was a price per arm, per gate.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a wildly high price, but that's what they're gonna pull together.
Okay. And also, I think you stated that at some point you're going to bring them before the board, right? For the full board to do
Yeah,
something.
and, we might, because I know you have some, having worked for Comcast, you have some knowledge about that. We could have up to 3 board or commissioners on a call with them. If we wanted to do something with the larger group, we could either have them come to the meeting or we could have a special meeting.
Or you can.
Or we could sequence it, like have them come to the next meeting, but then delay a vote into the following.
Right.
There's ways that we can get everybody up to speed, but this really offers the potential to have kind of uniformity, I think, with all of our garages from a data standpoint, without the huge investment that
Right.
folks might recall Mike Saselka telling us some years ago that we were going to have to do. But I think we want to go kind of gingerly and test it and see if it is what they're representing to us it could be. But this is also about addressing the changing customer requests. Where particularly the transient folks, the non-state folks don't want these monthlies anymore. And we haven't really had a good way to respond to that. And I also think that the hotel will reopen and there will be events and the like, that this may be helpful. I do think that there's gonna be some residential coming online downtown, which might create some off-peak demand for us. And boy, that would be just gravy, that would be great. And so if we can have the flexibility to program for that different sort of stuff, that'd be golden.
I've got to jump off.
Okay.
Do you need me for anything before I go?
No, well, the Verizon cellular thing, can you pop on that real quick? We don't have any kind of vote, we're just going to proceed on the fact finding, right, with the Verizon installation?
Well, we should approve that right of entry agreement.
Is that a vote?
Yes.
Okay, so folks will recall that Verizon is interested in mounting on our Lafayette garage what are kind of modern day cell towers. They're not cell towers anymore, but they function that way. And we at previous meetings on several occasions have talked this through and decided we absolutely want to explore it. It's money in our pocket. It's a couple thousand, or it's somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 a month.
Yeah, I think that.
Income for nominal, involvement on our part. And so they've been doing their engineering. I don't think we've seen the proposed lease yet, have we? They're still investigating how and what they would do, where they would place it, et cetera. And so, they have a document to, right of entry to complete, to carry it forward on this ongoing project. So I will make a motion that we sign that right of entry agreement. Do I have a second?
Oh, second.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Lindy, if you have anything on the consultant engagement,
I got the proposal, and so I just have to review it. I can share it with you.
Okay.
I had it, and I was going to reach out to her, and then I saw it. So I will send that out to folks.
all right, let's circulate that and we can talk and if people have questions, but if maybe that just gets approved for the next meeting. Is that okay with folks?
Yes, yeah.
All right. Lou, all right, so Lou, do you have additional anything?
Actually, as regards my report, the items we've discussed being the broad in front as well as the Lafayette garage update on the electrical, those were all of the items that were contained in my report in the way of updates. Certainly any questions available. What I tried to do is anything that's new, I underlined. So you'll see a couple paragraphs, middle of the first page, the underlined section, that's the new verbiage. Everything else is carried forward from last. So there's 3 or 4 entries of new verbiage that relate to broad in front and relate to the Lafayette emergency power issue.
All of which we've touched on in our other discussion.
Right, correct.
No actions required.
Right, no actions this evening.
Okay. So with that, is there any public here? Okay. With that, and I think I can ask for a motion to adjourn.
Well, do we adjourn?
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thanks, folks. It's-
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Wow.
We did good.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Oh, you too.
Yes,
You
thank
too.
you.
Enjoy your lunch.
All right, take care.
You all. Bye-bye.